Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sri Tips here. And what we've got here is an assortment of Karat gold that we've accumulated over about the last month or so. And what we're going to do, these are the two bars that I recently refined. This one came from the anode filters. This one came from the jeweler's scrap. So what we're going to do is we're going to re-refine these and put it in with this group. This is 24K gold. Looks like we've got 21 grams of 24K pure gold. Here's the 14K material. And I know everybody wants to know approximately what we paid for this 14K scrap. And I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's in the neighborhood of about between 5,000 and 6,000. There's 186.0 for the 14K. 186 grams of 14K. Here's our 10K stuff. Let me put that right into the melt dish. And it looks like we've got 58 grams of 10K material. 58 grams. Went back and reviewed the video. Realized I didn't tear out the 21 grams of 24K. So we've got 165, not 186. These are my calculations for the amount of sterling silver that I need to quart this gold. This is the estimated yield from our Karat scrap. And I've pre-weighed out some silver here. I'm calling for 308, but I've got 311. That's close enough. So now we're going to take this outdoors onto the melt table and quart this Karat gold with this sterling silver.
Here's our quorted gold. That's going to be 6K gold. 25% gold, 75% silver, and base metals. This is some used nitric acid from a previous refining. We're going to start pulling the silver and the base metals out of here now with nitric acid. The nitric acid will dissolve the silver, it will dissolve the copper, any zinc or platinum group metals in here will get dissolved by the nitric acid, but the gold does not get dissolved, it gets left behind. So now what we're going to do is cover this up, stick this up on the heat, and start heating this up and pulling the silver and the base metals out of this quorted gold.
I'm using hot dilute nitric acid boils to pull the silver and the base metals out of the gold. I can tell when this reaction is complete, when all the fumes clear up and the solution turns a pale blue color instead of a dark blue. I've had this on boiling for about 10 hours now, or something like that. And I've pretty much got all the silver and base metals pulled out of here. I can tell that because the color of the liquid is now just a pale blue color. So what we're going to do is pour this off. Well, let me see something. What I'll do is save this nitric acid that's in here, because it'll still have active nitric in it.
The gold has been boiling in distilled water for quite some time, maybe half hour, I guess. I'm going to pour half of the water off into my silver jar. I'm doing one last nitric acid boil. So I'm going to add an equal amount of nitric acid in here. You know what, let's go a little lower with this. We don't need that much water in here. All right, there we go. Now we're going to put some nitric in here and do a last nitric acid boil.
These nitric boils take time, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. The longer we spend with that gold in boiling nitric acid, the easier the refining will be later on.
Had this on boiling for quite some time now. In this last nitric acid boil, turn the heat off. I'm going to transfer this acid, nitric acid, will still be active in there. You can still use it. Transfer it into this jar. jumping the gun here. I'm going to give this gold another water boil since we've done this last nitric acid boil. Move it over here onto our other heat source, and we're going to boil this in water for a little bit. I've got to tell you, that gold looks gorgeous. And this is how effective quorting this gold with silver and then pulling all the silver and the base metals out with nitric acid is. That gold right there is very close to 3/9 fine. We can melt that just like it is and send that into the big refiner. But we're going to go ahead and do a full refining on this. But I just wanted to let you know, man, this quorting with silver and then pulling everything back out with these nitric acid boils just does a fantastic job at cleaning the gold up. Not only does the silver that we added get pulled out of there, but all the other silver and base metals and the platinum group metals that were in the Karat gold to begin with, they also get pulled out. Now what we'll do is just set this up on our heat source over here, and we're going to go ahead and get prepared to do a complete refining on this gold now that we've got all the silver and all the base metals pulled out. I'm going to pull this silver jar out of here. We want to keep this away from the aqua regia. I'm adding some hydrochloric acid. Got about 4.5 ounces of gold in here. So I'm going to go to the 700 milliliter level with some hydrochloric acid. Alright, we're going to add some sulfuric acid to this. And what this will do is if there's any lead present in our gold, this will combine with the lead, form lead sulfate that's insoluble, and then we can filter it out to remove 100% of the lead from our gold. Like I said, this is about 4.5 ounces of pure gold. What I'm going to do is measure out 80 milliliters of nitric acid. Went a little over, that's okay. Nitric acid. I'm going to put this on time lapse. We're going to dump the 80 milliliters of nitric acid into our beaker with our gold and hydrochloric acid to form aqua regia in there. And we're going to try to put this gold in solution so that we can refine it. Here we go. This never ceases to amaze me that gold will dissolve in acid just like sugar dissolves in water. I think we've got just about everything to dissolve in here, but there's still some fume production going on. So what I'm going to do, that means we've got excess nitric acid in there. So what I'm going to do, I have a scale here, and I'm going to use a gold bar. Gold bar. It weighs 25.5 grams. So what we're going to do is take this gold bar and we're going to put it
in our solution over here. And I'm going to crank the heat up. We're going to use this gold bar to consume all the excess nitric in our solution. I'm going to try to lean this in a little bit and slide the gold bar down in there so it's up front, so we can kind of monitor it and keep a close eye on it, see how it's going to react. There it goes. It's already starting to dissolve. I'd heard of this method for consuming all the excess nitric in our gold solution, but I'd never tried it until a few videos ago. I tried it and it worked really well, so I figured I'd give it another shot with this video.
Here you can see all the fumes have cleared up inside the beaker. So now it's a pretty safe bet to conclude that all of the excess nitric has been consumed. I'm turning the heater off. Now we'll pull this down off the heat and let it cool down. Our solution is just a touch on the cloudy side. So what we're going to do is filter it through the same filter paper a second time.
Now that that filter paper is loaded up in the first filtering, we can pour it back through that same filter a second time and get out the very fine particulate that's suspended in our liquid.
Here you can see the difference in the clarity of the liquids after this second pass. Gets all the cloudiness out of here. What we're going to do now is take a look at our gold bar, see how much of this got dissolved into our solution. There it is. That thing really looks spectacular. That's a pure gold bar from a previous refining. Now let's see what we got for weight on this thing. $18.4, so we used about, what's that, 2 and 5, about 7 grams of that bar got dissolved into our gold solution to consume the excess nitric. Well, I ran out of room in my flask. This is what I'm talking about. If you look at that filter, it's fairly clean. There's not a whole bunch of junk in there. We could have melted that gold directly right after the nitric acid boils. Let's get our gold solution in a beaker. Got a bunch of ice down here to keep it cool. Nice and clear. Lots of gold in solution. Here we go. We're going to put some stump out in here and precipitate out the pure gold. There we go. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do another stannous test. Negative stannous test. We've got all that gold to drop. This bottle's full, so I'm going to empty it into this other container to make some room in here. We're starting to get a little bit of a collection of gold in here. One day we'll do a recovery on these waste containers. got some hot water. I'm going to rinse the gold over and over with some hot water.
As I was doing the hot water rinses, I noticed a piece of plastic in with the gold, so I had to reach in there and grab it with a pair of tweezers and remove it.
I'm adding some hydrochloric acid to the gold. Now we're going to cover this up and set it up here on the heat. And we're going to boil the gold in hydrochloric acid for a few minutes.
These hydrochloric acid boils always seem to help clean up the gold. Halfway through, I tilted it sideways and put a stirring rod in there and stirred it up to make sure all the gold particles come in contact with the hot hydrochloric acid. I'm going to pour off the hydrochloric acid boil. I'm going to rinse it over and over with some distilled water. Just take it over and melt it up into an ingot. This is the camera in the wrong mode. I lost all the footage of me melting the gold and pouring the bar, so I put it back in the dish and remelted it. That's what you're looking at right here. This is the remelt of the original bar because I lost the footage because I had the camera in the wrong mode. Here's our final bar here that we poured just now. And I had the camera in the wrong mode, and I lost all the footage of the melt sequence. So I had to remelt the bar. Let's see what we got here. We were looking for 141.1 plus. We took 7.1 grams off of this bar, doing the denoxing of the gold solution. So we should have, what would that be, 148.2. Let's see what we got here. We got 145.2, so we're off by about 3 grams, which is normal. That happens. So here's our bar that we used for the denox sequence. Thing looks awesome. And then here's our bar that we just got done refining for this video. All right, this will conclude the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching.